President Andrew Friedson. I'm Jordan Lindsay. Reporters, if you still need permission to record, please note that in the chat. And if you have any questions, you can note that in the chat as well. Now I'll toss it to Council President Andrew Friedson for opening remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions. Council President, to you.
Thank you, Jordan. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. I just returned from the Silver Spring Civic Center for the 11th annual Montgomery County Energy Summit, which is hosted by the county's Department of Environmental Protection. The summit serves as a space to host building owners, property managers, energy contractors, and other sustainability professionals working in Montgomery County and the broader DMV area to educate them on the latest trends in green building and energy efficiency, renewable energy standards, and related commercial, multifamily, and residential topics in Montgomery County. It's a great turnout. Drew about 300 people today, another 300 people tomorrow with expert panelists, speakers, exhibitors, and it's just a great way to kick off this week heading into Earth Day and Earth Week. Montgomery County really is a leader in combating climate change and planning for a sustainable future. We have a lot of work to do, but we are doing a lot. We declared a climate emergency in 2017. We've set ambitious goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 100% by 2035. And as the council's chair of Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee, I'm deeply involved and committed to working collaboratively with the private and public sectors in and out of government to advance our climate goals. And we've been working to do just that. We have a $7 billion budget before us that is in part to address some of these key investments in climate initiatives. I'm particularly proud of the $19.1 million that is included for the Montgomery County Green Bank that is required as part of a bill that I co-authored previously to ensure dedicated funding for the Green Bank so that we can help our residents and businesses to retrofit their buildings. We're continuing to implement the Green Buildings Tax Credit that I also co-authored in order to help our residents and help our businesses to not only set ambitious targets that we have, but to provide a ladder for our residents and our businesses to actually meet those targets. So really pleased about that. And on the broader climate issues, the Green Canopy bill that Councilmember Glass and I worked on, eliminating parking minimums near transit that I worked on with Councilmember Mink and Councilmember Glass. And also all of the housing and transit-oriented development issues. If we want to address the climate crisis, particularly at the local level where much of our power is in land use decisions, we have to create livable, walkable, accessible communities. We have to change the way that people live. And the good news is the market is moving in this direction. So we only have to nurture nature, but to help facilitate the process where people want to live near job centers and activity centers. They want to have access to high quality transportation and transit. And that's exactly what we're looking to do. And as someone who has focused a lot on housing in particular, we know that housing is a climate issue as well. Where people live, their proximity to where they work has a huge amount of impact in terms of the carbon emissions that is required for them to live their lives and the climate impact that they have and the health that they have as well. So the efforts that we have done to accelerate affordable housing, particularly in transit-served areas, the new nonprofit preservation fund, which will help us to preserve housing along the Purple Line corridor as one key example, the efforts that we have undertaken along with Council Vice President Stewart on the Faith ZTA to facilitate housing on faith community and educational lands, oftentimes which are along transit corridors. These are all critical, and as well as really to accelerate and to try to move forward with our efforts to incentivize transit-oriented development, especially on metro properties, where we want to see a lot more housing at Metro, and the work that the prior council did that I work very closely with Councilmember Reamer on to create those opportunities. Those are transit issues. They're economic issues, there are equity issues, but there are also environmental issues because we know that particularly affordable housing in close proximity to transit means that the likelihood of car use goes way, way down, and the carbon footprint and the emissions also go way down with it. Last week, I was also privileged to speak at and to participate in the Montgomery County Police Department's awards ceremony. I've been to many of these award ceremonies, but it was particularly special for a couple key reasons. First and foremost, Sergeant Patrick Kep was there walking and in uniform, and he really sent an uplifting and motivational and inspirational message to all of us in county government and in our community, but especially our Montgomery County Police Department. It was amazing to see him after having been there with him at Walter Reed, where on the day that he got his prosthetics, to see him up and in uniform was just absolutely uplifting to all of us, and to be there while his colleagues and our Montgomery County police officers were honored with life-saving awards for the heroic efforts that they undertook to save his life, one of their own, where we have done this many years to recognize our officers who take on heroic work. They do life-sacrificing work every day. They do life-saving work on a regular basis. But this one was particularly special, and it was also special because it was Chief Jones' last Public Safety Police Department Officer Awards ceremony, which really gave it a lot of added meaning. Last week also was the end of the legislative session in Annapolis. Just wanted to again reiterate my depth of appreciation and gratitude for the commitment of our partners in the Montgomery County delegation to deliver on many of our key priorities. The county will be receiving about $1.1 billion in direct state aid to support public schools, critical transportation services, and public safety, and about $36.1 million for capital projects. The delegation also once again delivered on important projects for Montgomery County, including $6 million per year and an additional $3 million in capital funding for the University of Maryland Institute for Health Computing in North Bethesda, and delivered on our top transportation priority to help support the build out of our bus rapid transit network, which represents $27 million in funding beginning next year and a minimum of $20 million every year moving forward to help us with our bus rapid transit network. So that is critical to our work. There's also a number of key initiatives to increase housing production, including funding, where the state and the county will partner moving forward and build on some of the incredible efforts that we have undertaken in Montgomery County, like the Housing Production Fund, and efforts to make sure that we're supporting our libraries and librarians and the thirst for knowledge in our community with the Freedom to Read Act, which is an anti-book banning legislation that will protect our library staff, volunteers, and users, and make sure that we are leading by the power of our example, and that we are supporting our young people who are seeking information and knowledge when they go to our libraries and should have access to it without political interference. I look forward to working together with our delegation for many of these key priorities as we move forward, and just want to express gratitude to them and to the governor for all of their incredible work over the last 90 days. Last week, the council also hosted public hearings for residents to provide feedback on the county executive's recommended FY25 operating budget. We had an incredible, unbelievable amount of participation, so much in fact that this year we expanded the opportunity for public input with 5 public hearings over 3 days, 19 hours of public hearings, allowing 255 speakers to testify live and remotely before the council. It's the largest turnout in recent history, a 35% increase over the number of residents who participated last year. I made a commitment as council president that we were not going to turn a single person away. We were going to open up as many slots as were needed in order to provide opportunities for more residents to weigh in on the $7.1 billion operating budget that we're investing with their tax dollars, and they need to reflect their priorities. So very proud and pleased with that, and appreciate colleagues for their commitment to ensuring every voice is heard as part of this process. Last week, we also took two critical straw votes on the operating budget. The first was a unanimous straw vote to hold the line on property taxes for Montgomery County residents. So residents can rest assured there will not be a property tax increase in this budget. We recognize that many of the pressures that our residents are facing, that our businesses are facing, some of whom are continuing to rebuild their finances and to get back to a new normal following the global pandemic, and still dealing with the rising costs of living and huge increases in housing assessments. The second important straw vote that we took, approved by a majority of council members, rejected the executive's recommendation to increase our debt by $20 million in fiscal year 25. That was a proposal to increase debt by 20 million, but not increase capacity for schools or transportation projects. We did not believe that was a good idea. It essentially would have put the debt on a credit card. It's essentially like paying your mortgage with a credit card, by not only increasing debt, but using that debt for ongoing expenses in the operating budget. You create essentially two versions of obligations. And so it's almost debt on debt, which is not a fiscally responsible or sustainable approach. The council spent several years strategically reducing the county's overall debt to maintain our AAA bond rating. Debt, if it were its own department in county government, would be the third largest department in county government. It is significant. So we are continuing to hold the line on that. We are continuing to move forward to follow through with our fiscal policies. We're making sure that we are going through the budget line by line and trying to address the structural deficit, which is our staff estimates currently at about 115 million in the budget as proposed. So we'll continue to make our work through that as well. And tomorrow, just wanted to note that council members Katz, Glass, and I will be presenting a proclamation for Yom HaShoah, which is Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's a really important day to join together to remember the 6 million Jews and 5 million others who were murdered during the Holocaust, and to recognize the heroism of all those who survived, an act of disobedience, an act of valor, merely surviving, and the generations that continue, that demonstrates an act of defiance against the most horrific type of hatred that we have seen. Education and awareness about genocidal consequences of anti-Semitism, racism, and xenophobia are among our strongest tools to help confront hate, issues that we are not immune to, unfortunately, in Montgomery County. The rise of anti-Semitic incidents in the county is frightening. It reflects the rise nationwide and throughout the world, and it makes many of our members of our community feel unsafe when they go to work, when they go to school, and when they live their everyday lives. The Montgomery County Police Department's 2023 annual report on bias incidents in Montgomery County reported 464 bias incidents last year, and strikingly 284 incidents, more than 60%, were school-related. And of the school-related, 90 involved Nazi and swastika imagery. So we are continuing to push back. We're continuing to call those issues out, continuing our work to fight and combat hate. And that part of that is to acknowledge and ensure that we never forget. So with that, let me turn it back to you, Jordan, and happy to answer any questions that any of you have.
Great. Thank you, Council President. Reporters, again, if you have any questions, you can note that in the chat or you can raise your hand. Up first, I see Milagros Melendez with El Tiempo Latino. Good morning, Milagros.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Good morning, President. Just talking about the incidents, the bias incidents. Can you give me an update about the recommendations that the task force on hate crimes had? What is the status right now?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We had the Anti-Hate Task Force, as you know, which was established by the council last year, a priority of the previous council president that we're continuing as we move forward. The task force presented to the full council on my first day, actually, as council president in December. The committees have taken up and are in the process of taking up the issues that fall into their area of jurisdiction, some of which are within the realm of council, some of which are beyond the realm of council, but all of which we are following through on and addressing to the extent that we can. I have met with all of the cohorts for all of the different groups that were represented as part of the anti-hate task force. And so that work is continuing. Some of the recommendations are being implemented as we speak in Montgomery County Public Schools, in the police department, for instance. We're moving forward with that, and some of those presentations, including at the Education and Culture Committee recently and at the Public Safety Committee, have presented to the council. And actually, there are some budget items that are related to these issues as well. So that process is ongoing. We are taking it up in a methodical way, and we are looking to make as much progress as we can as we move forward this budget, as we take these issues up by the individual committees, and as we move forward as a full council.
Thank you so much. Can you give me some samples of recommendations that have already been implemented in the schools?
Yeah, happy to follow up. Happy to follow up with you. The schools presented to the Education and Culture Committee and the Police Department, among others, presented to the Public Safety Committee. So we can follow up with you with details of those presentations, some of those examples.
That sounds very great. Thank you so much. And also, if you can provide me some statistics, if you have seen an increase or a decrease, or is the same, how the crimes are being right now. So I would appreciate that.
Yeah, we're happy to follow up with you and send you the Montgomery County Police Department report that I referenced from 2023. So we'll follow up with you with that as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Milagros. Up next, we have Scott Broom with WUSA 9. Good morning, Scott.
Hey, good morning. And good morning, Council President. A couple issues, one schools, one law enforcement. I know you don't have complete oversight of the school system. Probably wish you did. And another law enforcement question involving Sheriff's Department and some independent reporting we did. Question one, schools. Darnestown the school system has announced is going to reduce the para educators there, and that's a school that's designated to assist kids with autism, and the parents have become very active and vocal about it. I just wonder if you have any thoughts about that, or whether or not the council can have any influence over school authorities on that particular issue.
Thanks, Scott. The question of Darnestown, we've heard a lot from residents in the last week or so. In fact, we had many of the speakers who registered when we expanded the opportunities during the operating budget public hearings were specifically related to the concerns about these. A lot of them were parents of students at Darnestown who rely on that program. It's a critical program. It's one of the only programs, if not the only program, that provides support in public schools to students with autism and keeps them on a degree path, which is critical to the after 21 cliff, and to make sure that we're providing opportunities to as many of our residents as possible. The council does not have a direct role in that, as you know, but it's something that we're concerned about. It's something that we're asking questions about with the Board of Education and MCPS leadership to understand the rationale behind that decision, the impact that decision will have, and what, if any, changes could be made to address the concerns that parents have raised.
Great, I appreciate that. Earlier today, I sent your chief of staff a link to some independent reporting we'd done last week about a citizen complained about the Sheriff's Department and evictions, and they took great exception to the Sheriff's Department performing an eviction on their business at gunpoint. The Sheriff's Department explained to us that evictions are high emotion events. And when they're entering a building, they're not sure what's inside, that drawing guns is appropriate in their opinion. And I'm not sure the Police Accountability Board has even seen this complaint, but regardless, I'm just interested whether or not evictions are a significant issue in the county for lots of people, and whether or not this drawing guns on an eviction of a business is how it strikes you. You should care to share any thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I'm concerned about it. I have had conversations with the sheriff previously. We just became aware, based on your reporting, of this particular incident with guns drawn related to a business eviction. We previously had an issue that was highly publicized of a satirical blogger who had been, served papers and was served papers by sheriff's deputies in the middle of the night in a, exigent, emergency standard, waking him up in the middle of the night, as well, and what seemed like an aggressive dynamic for an issue and an incident of that caliber. Considering this was, about tweets, it seemed to go beyond the pale. I know that the sheriff is looking into their protocols. I do think that we have to find the appropriate balance to ensure they can do their jobs, to recognize that sometimes these issues are dangerous. Sometimes there are extremely high emotions. They need to, follow protocols to make sure that they are safe, to make sure that those involved are safe. But it does strike me as something that we need to look into to make sure that we're not overly aggressive in the way that these issues are handled, because, one of the challenges that we have when we think about, de-escalation, the more aggressive something starts, the exponentially more aggressive it can become, and the response, oftentimes matches the way in which someone is approached. So, I am concerned about it. It's something that I'm looking into. I think we need to work with the sheriff and the legal system to understand, what is happening. I just think it's important to understand. I don't think there was any problem with the what here. I think the question is the how, and the how needs to be looked into. And I think protocols, may need to be addressed and adjusted to reflect the realities on the ground, so that we avoid escalating a situation unnecessarily that doesn't need to be escalated. You come in guns drawn, that changes the nature of the issue. You're banging on somebody's door at 3 o'clock in the morning, startling them. That may change their response, as opposed to, a different way to approach it.
I did want to note the sheriff's department is independent and duly elected, and it's its own thing, and it's an arm of the court, really. I'm not sure the county council has much oversight, and it's unclear to me, and I haven't been able to contact the Police Accountability Board to figure out if I don't really know what the matrix is for oversight of sheriff's activities in the county. Do you have anything to share on that?
Yeah, well, as you know, the sheriff is independently elected, as you noted, and the sheriff, serves basically as the law enforcement of the judiciary branch of government. So you're right that the oversight there from the county council is limited, but it's something that we're focused on and worried about. We're a funder of the sheriff's office. We're a partner of the sheriff's office. I have great respect for Sheriff Wee. We work very closely together. I have admired his career and have valued him as a partner. I know that he is focused on these issues and looking into them as well. And I look forward to working together with him to address these issues. I do think that it's important that the way in which these issues are handled reflects the situations that they're in, and we need to make sure that we're not escalating situations unnecessarily.
Okay, thank you for spending a minute with me. I appreciate your thoughts.
Appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Scott. Reporters, if you have any other questions, please let me know. I don't see any questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand. Any last minute questions going once? Going twice? 3 times? Okay, back to you, Council President.
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate everybody joining today. Look forward to continuing the conversations. We take up the $7.1 billion recommended budget and as we move forward with all the key county priorities that we have. We'll see you next week. And hopefully in the meantime, we'll see you at the council tomorrow.